You're welcome back. The federal government is to evolve a new trade policy with nations under the former Union of Soviet Socialist Republics with whom it shares mutual trade relations. The policy, which is coming in the wake of hostilities between Russia and Ukraine, is meant to immune the Nigerian economy from the numerous sanctions from Western countries against Russia. The Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Ni Adebayo, made the disclosure yesterday during an inter-ministerial media briefing organized by the Presidential Communications Team at the State House, Abuja. According to him, the trade policy draft would be thoroughly scrutinized before being presented to President Muhammadu Buhari before being released to the public. A recent report quoting data from the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics had revealed a worrisome impact of the Russia-Ukraine conflict on Nigeria. It had disclosed that since 2019, Nigeria has received $84.3 million in capital imports from Russia. The country also imported 144 billion naira worth of durum wheat in 2020 and 123.9 billion naira worth of durum wheat between January to September 2021 from Russia. 30 suspects have been arrested by men of the Nigeria police force for complicity in banditry, kidnappings, and other violent crimes across the country, especially within the north-central region. Now, police spokesman CSP Oluwamuyiwa Adejobi, in a statement on Thursday, disclosed that the Force Intelligence Bureau Special Tactical Squad recently arrested the 30 suspects for their roles in kidnapping, armed robbery, arms smuggling, unlawful possession of prohibited firearms, car theft, rape, receiving stolen goods, amongst others. It further disclosed that the FIB-STS equally recovered 8 foreign and 7 locally made AK-47 rifles, 8 revolver rifles, 2,200 rounds of live ammunition of different calibers, and 14 AK-47 magazines, 3 stolen cars, 10 fake number plates, and a cash sum of 1,880,000 naira from the suspects during follow-up investigations. Notable amongst the cases is the arrest of one Hamid Yunusa, aka Yellow Ashana, a 36-year-old leader of a vicious bandit group that has been terrorizing communities and road users along the Abuja-Kaduna Expressway. The suspect, who has been on the run following a police operation that led to the death of a member of his syndicate, one Yellow Magaji, aka Arushe, was arrested during a sting operation by police operatives of the FIB-STS. The police command in Oyo State has said that none of its officers had shot at a National Youth Service Corps member in Ibadan. The command dispelled the rumor in a statement by its public relations officer, DSP Adewale Osifeso, on Friday in Ibadan, describing the information as a mischievous and fictitious imagination of mischief makers. It would be recalled that there was news making the rounds in Ibadan on Thursday that a police officer shot at a corps member while returning from his community development service. Osifeso quoted some preliminary investigations and independent witness accounts to corroborate their rebuttal. Now, a reckless driving corps member in the company of his colleagues while returning from their CDS was flagged down by operatives on legitimate stop and search duties, but drove directly towards the officers and knocked down one Sergeant Abadahum Bright. The PPRO said that the corps member, in his determination to escape, drove off without batting an eyelid and veered off his lane towards the direction of other oncoming vehicles till he ran into a tricycle, from where the policemen caught up with him. On citing his returning colleagues from their various community development service groups, he immediately raised a false alarm about being shot at by the police officers. Osifeso further said the Commissioner of Police in the state, Ngozi Onadeko, had said that the officers of the command would remain civil and professional in the discharge of their duties, but would no longer condone any acts of hostility from members of the public. Now, the House of Representatives has urged the Minister of Federal Capital Territory to ensure full compliance with the provision of the UBEC Act and the Child Rights Act in the Federal Capital Territory. The lawmakers also urged the UBEC to liaise with state governments who have adopted the Child Rights Act and the UBEC Act for enforcement of the provisions of the law. The resolutions of lawmakers followed the adoption of a motion sponsored by Honorable Bamidele Salam at plenary yesterday. Moving the motion, Salam made the reference to the report by the Federal Ministry of Education in 2021, which said an estimated number of out-of-school children in Nigeria was about 10.1 million, while the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, put the number at 13.2 million. He said the figure appears to be on the increase, as the Ministry of Education has said that there has been a more than 3 million increase in the figure from 2020. He expressed concerns about the report from UNICEF that Nigeria has the highest number of out-of-school children in sub-Saharan Africa and the highest in the world. Salam said the House was aware that Section 18 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, and as amended, provides that the government shall direct its policy towards ensuring that there are equal and adequate educational opportunities at all levels. He said the House was also aware that Section 15 of the Child Rights Act provides that every child has the right to free, compulsory, and universal basic education, and it shall be done the duty of the government in Nigeria to provide such education. He expressed worry that the number of out-of-school children in the country was on a rapid increase, and no arrest of defaulting parents or guardians were made. Now, health workers in Oyo State have met in their bid to reduce the rate of maternal and neonatal mortalities induced by malaria infections. This and many more formed the basis of symposium organized for health workers in Ibadan. A spike in maternal and child-related deaths in the basis for this symposium, being attended by selected health workers across the 17 local government areas. Their aim is to monitor the effectiveness of rapid diagnostic tests and microscopic tests in detecting malaria in pregnant women. This intervention program is a strategic approach which seeks to train 80 health workers and 30 lab scientists to reach out to 1,000 pregnant women in Oyo State so as to save more women from the cold hands of death.
Some RDT do fail while testing. It brings out negative results, and by the time you send for microscopy, it will actually come with positive, and it will help in proper management of malaria in pregnancy.
The importance of RDT and microscopic, we know that microscopy is the still golden rule of diagnosing malaria. But if you think economically and people train on microscopy, you will realize that using RDT will be better. MRDTs, malaria rapid diagnostic tests.
So when we were selecting the facilities we wanted to work with, we made sure that we work with the primary healthcare board. So the primary healthcare board did a careful selection of PHCs that were located in strategic areas. So for example, now we are working with 6 PHCs in each LGA across the 17 LGAs. So they made sure that they selected PHCs that are strategically located, that pregnant women can easily locate. So they are not all clustered in one place, they are all distributed around.
The number of maternal mortality will reduce to malaria because it will reduce guesswork, it will reduce the error rate coming from the RDT. So I think it's a good step in the right direction.
The need to end all forms of brain drain and exodus of medical practitioners from Nigeria to other parts of the globe was the focus of the 16th and 6th induction ceremony of the graduating medical doctors and graduating dental surgeons of the Lagos State University College of Medicine, Ikeja. Aiboje Ikoria reports that the call was made at the event by the Registrar Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria.
It's a job exciting. All of us as teachers, and me especially as the acting provost of the college, we are not quite very happy for them, and I know that they will go places. The future is very bright for them, and they will do what's right. So that's just this college. Now, the second question you asked about brain drain. Yeah, brain drain has become a major phenomenon this brain drain has been on for us almost close to over 30 years. Sometimes started, sometimes way back in the very first wave of brain drain, sometimes in the 80s, 1987, 88. Now we're having the second and the third wave of brain drain. And I say the perennial problem that is on the answer is that if you compare the brainwave of the 80s and now, the brainwave of the 80s was the brainwave of very senior doctors. The current brainwave is not just senior doctors, but a large population of the young ones, the younger doctors. And that is a negative signal to this country. That is, and I can tell you really, the truth is that most of these people who are training, by the time they're final year, they pass the exams. American exams, they pass it. They pass UK exams. So the moment they pass our exam, they get their certificate. They are branded and ready as experts. So it is a calamitous problem in Nigeria. And the way out, simple, is that the government to address health issues better. I mean, when I say government of Nigeria, at Lagos State, we must give kudos to the government. They're trying their best. You can see all the monumental things they are putting to medical education and the hospital, and all the general hospitals. We must give kudos to Lagos State government. But beyond that, when we speak of government putting more in infrastructure, more in equipment, more in training, and the medical work is so that when you are graduated, you still have to continue to train if you want to be relevant, both formal training and informal training. Those are issues that will be very, very germane. And at all, the salaries and then of course all the various kind of honorarium that goes along with it. It will be well addressed so that the temptation level of going out.
Nigeria has been given $1 million by the Economic Community of West African States to boost food and nutrition needs in Katsina, Zamfara, and Borno states. The fund was given to the United Nations World Food Programme in 2021 as part of an ECOWAS humanitarian assistance to the Nigerian government for victims of violent conflicts in the northwest and northeast, according to a statement by the WFP on Thursday. The fund was approved for Nigeria from the ECOWAS Regional Stabilization Fund, and the federal government had sought the collaboration of the WFP in Nigeria to apply the fund to alleviating food and nutrition needs in Katsina, Zamfara, and Borno states. The program targets 840 food insecure households, about 4,196 persons in Zamfara, Katsina, and Borno states with food assistance. The beneficiaries are encouraged to buy a wide range of local nutritious foods from their preferred shops, as cash transfers have an additional advantage of stimulating local markets and agricultural production. The program helps to prevent acute malnutrition in children in the first 1,000 days of their lives by providing nutrition assistance to children 6 to 23 months old and to pregnant and breastfeeding women from vulnerable and food insecure households. The National Agency for the Prohibition in Persons said a total of 17,443 trafficked persons have been rescued since 2003 till date. The Benin Zonal Director of the agency, Ndoka Nwanenen, made the disclosure yesterday at a sensitization program in Ologbo, Ikpoba, Oka, local government area of Edo State. Nwanene, who also said 502 persons were convicted within the same period, noted that the advocacy program, which would be carried out in 2 other communities in Edo, was in collaboration with a lawmaker representing Bekwara, Obudu, Obanle, a federal constituency in Cross River State. Mr. Lego Edabo. He said the essence of the advocacy was to seek the collaboration of traditional institutions to combat the scourge of human trafficking in the state across the country. According to him, the traffickers also come under the guise of helping the victims to seek better opportunities abroad. Nwanene stressed that the victims, who are mostly transported abroad through illegal and dangerous means, are often left traumatized with their experiences, while others die before they get to their destinations. Responding on behalf of the chiefs, the Igedion of Benin Kingdom, Chief Godspower Irorere, said the advocacy was an eye-opener to most of them and urged the agency to carry out more of it across the state. Now, new research has shown that SARS-CoV-2, the virus causing the COVID-19 infection, can be transmitted from mother to baby before, during, and after childbirth, although such occurrences are rare. An international research team led by the University of Birmingham's WHO Collaborating Center for Global Women's Health published its findings on Thursday, March the 17th, 2022, in BMJ, after examining data from around the globe relating to more 14,000 babies born to mothers with COVID-19. According to the research, fewer than 2% of babies born to mothers with SARS-CoV-2 infection also test positive for the virus, but they are more likely to test positive when the women have severe COVID-19 or were diagnosed after childbirth. Experts also discovered that vaginal births and breastfeeding do not increase the likelihood of babies testing positive for SARS-CoV-2 when their mothers have the infection. Overall, 1.8% of the 14,271 babies born to mothers with SARS-CoV-2 infection tested positive for the virus using PCR tests. The research team recommends that since babies born to mothers with severe SARS-CoV-2 are more likely to test positive, they will need to be tested after birth and monitored closely. Vaccination in pregnancy should be further encouraged to prevent infection and severe disease in mothers. Africa news now. Mali will suspend broadcast by French state-funded international news outlets RFI and France 24 in an unprecedented clampdown on foreign media over what the ruling military junta said were false allegations of army abuses. Comments by the head of the United Nations Rights Commission, Michelle Bachelet, and rights group Human Rights Watch, accusing the military of violations, were reported by RFI and France 24 in recent days, the junta said in a statement on Thursday. Earlier this week, Human Rights Watch said Malian soldiers were responsible for killing at least 71 civilians since December. Radio broadcaster RFI also ran a series of testimonies from people who said they had been tortured by Malian soldiers and suspected Russian mercenaries operating alongside them. Relations between Mali and former colonial master France have soured in recent months since the junta fell back on election promises. The Malian junta has staged 2 coups since August 2020 and reneged on plans to hold elections in February, prompting sanctions from West Africa's regional bloc and the European Union. Russia's presence in the desert nation has also exacerbated tensions between France and Mali. Local media will be banned from diffusing RFI and France 24 content once the suspension is in place, it's added, without saying when that would happen. The 2 outlets were still on air in Mali on Thursday. French President Emmanuel Macron said on Thursday he condemned a decision by Mali's rulers to suspend broadcast by French state-funded international news outlets RFI and France 24. I condemn with the greatest firmness this decision, which seems to me totally at odds with the values espoused by the people of Mali since its independence, he said at a news conference in Paris. France's foreign ministry called the decision to suspend the broadcasters a grave attack on media freedom and said the allegations of army abuses must not be ignored. France Media Monde, the state-owned holding company that counts France 24 and RFI among its subsidiaries, said it rejected Mali's unfounded accusations. Now, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa on Thursday blamed NATO for the war in Ukraine and said he would resist calls to condemn Russia and comments that cast doubt over whether he would be accepted by Ukraine or the West as a mediator. The war could have been avoided if NATO had heeded the warnings from amongst its own leaders and officials over the years that its eastward expansion would lead to greater and not less instability in the region, Ramaphosa said in response to questions in Parliament. He added that South Africa cannot condone the use of force and violation of international law, an apparent reference to Russia's February 24 invasion of Ukraine. President Vladimir Putin has characterized Russia's actions as a special operation to disarm and densify Ukraine and counter what he calls NATO aggression. Kiev and its Western allies believe Russia launched the unprovoked war to subjugate a neighbor Putin calls an artificial state. Ramaphosa also revealed that Putin had assured him personally that negotiations were making progress. The South African leader said he had not yet talked with Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky, but that he wanted to do so. At least 70 migrants have been reported dead and missing off Libya in the past 2 weeks, the International Organization for Migration said in a statement on Thursday. On 12th March, a boat reportedly carrying 25 migrants capsized near the Libyan coast of Tobruk. Authorities rescued 6 migrants and recovered 7 bodies, with 12 remain missing, according to IOM's Missing Migrants Project. Tropical cyclone Gombe has killed at least 53 people since it hit Mozambique a week ago, authorities said on Thursday, in a sharp rise from earlier estimates. About 80 people have been injured and 400,000 affected since the cyclone swept into northern and central areas in the country, flooding towns and destroying houses, the figures showed. The initial death toll in the southern African country was estimated at 7. The data from the National Institute of Disaster Management showed Gombe had completely destroyed 45,000 homes and partially destroyed 30,000. In the past few years, Southern Africa has suffered repeated devastating cyclones of the type that used to be relatively rare, and scientists believe climate change is fueling their intensity via warning of the Indian Ocean. Tropical storm Aina killed at least 88 people across southern and Eastern Africa in January. Now, foreign news. Russia fired missiles at an airport near Lviv on Friday, a city where hundreds of thousands found refuge far from Ukraine's battlefields as Moscow tries to regain the initiative in its stalled campaign against Ukraine. U.S. President Joe Biden was due to talk with Chinese President Xi Jinping later on Friday in an attempt to starve Russia's war machine by isolating Moscow from the one big power that has yet to condemn its assault. More than 3 weeks since President Vladimir Putin launched an invasion to subdue what he calls an artificial state undeserving of nationhood, Ukraine's elected government is still standing and Russian forces have not captured a single big city. Russian troops have taken heavy losses while blasting residential areas to rubble, sending more than 3 million refugees fleeing. Moscow denies it is targeting civilians in what it calls a special operation to disarm its neighbor. At least 3 blasts were heard near Lviv's airport on Friday morning, with videos of social media showing large explosions and mushroom-shaped plumes of smoke rising. Poland will formally submit a proposal for a peacekeeping mission in Ukraine at the next NATO summit, Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki said on Friday. Poland's ruling party leader, Jarosław Kaczyński, announced the idea of peacekeeping mission during a trip to the Ukrainian capital Kyiv on Tuesday. Now, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz called for a ceasefire in Ukraine during a phone call with President Vladimir Putin on Friday, a German government spokesperson said. In their nearly 1 hour-long conversation, Scholz also stressed that the humanitarian situation needed to be improved and progress needed to be made in finding a diplomatic solution as soon as possible, said the spokesman. We now bring you entertainment news.
Hello and welcome to Entertainment Business. I am Michelle Abanum. Kanye West has been suspended from Instagram for 24 hours for breaching the social media's network harassment policy. West, who goes by Ye, will not be able to post, comment, or send direct messages for 24 hours. A spokesperson for Meta, which owns Instagram, told CNBC on Thursday that West violated the firm's policies on hate speech and bullying and harassment. The alleged law reportedly came after Noah discussed an argument between West's former wife Kim Kardashian and her boyfriend Saturday Night Live comic Pete Davidson. Kardashian filed for a divorce a year ago, citing irreconcilable differences with West. The couple have 4 children together. Following the divorce, West publicly criticized Kardashian's relationship with Davidson on social media and asked her to return to him. These incidents reignite the debate on whether high-profile users such as celebrities with huge followings should be treated the same as regular users when it comes to their conduct on social media platforms, or are companies like Meta making exceptions and offering preferential treatment. Moving on, Amazon on Thursday said it had closed its $8.5 billion deal to buy MGM, combining the fabled movie maker behind Rocky and James Bond with the online retailing giant as it looks to draw consumers through more streaming video. In a statement, Amazon said it would welcome all MGM employees to the company and work with studio's leadership, indicating there would not be layoffs. Its decision to comes after a deadline passed for the U.S. Federal Trade Commission to challenge the deal. The Seattle-based retailer announced the transaction in May 2021, saying MGM offered a trove of content to draw consumers to its fast shipping and streaming Club Prime, which cost $14.99 per month in the United States. Nearly a year later, Amazon is clear of regulatory hurdles. The European Commission approved the deal on Tuesday with no conditions. Likewise, Amazon earlier informed the FTC that it had substantially complied with requests for information about the deal. And that wraps it up on Entertainment Business. I am Michelle Abanum.
Coming up next, sports business.
Greg Norman's 54 Golf Invitational Series is ready to start negotiations with potential streaming and broadcast partners with the aim of raising $500 million for global media rights. The Saudi-backed golf startup may seek a global deal or divide its rights on a country-by-country basis. 54 already has a short list of potential announcers, including 3 interesting names. No players have signed with a new rival to the PGA Tour yet. In March, the PGA Tour agreed to 9-year extensions with CBS, NBC, and ESPN worth $7 billion from 2022 through 2030. Launching in June, the league will feature an 8-tournament schedule that will offer $25 million in purses and only 48 competitors per event. Sites include New Jersey, Portland, Boston, Chicago, London, Bangkok, and Saudi Arabia. And still talking sports business at this hour, a consortium that includes Spain's La Liga has presented a proposal to Brazil's elite football clubs to create a new league that would operate independently of the Brazilian Football Confederation. The proposal, backed by financial services firm XP and management consultancy firm Alvarez and Marsal, is an effort to provide clubs with a greater say in how Brazilian football is operated. The new league could start competition as early as this year or 2023. Investors have pledged between $750 million and $1 billion towards the league. Unlike other top-flight football leagues across the world, Brazil's professional clubs and national teams are controlled by the Brazilian Football Confederation. The consortium's proposal marks an ongoing effort to provide financial stability and business development for clubs without oversight from the Confederation. In July 2021, clubs in Brazil's top-flight Campeonato Brasileiro Serie A also submitted proposals to create a breakaway league. And that's it on sports business. I'm Samson Oleide.
And that's the news. Thanks very much for watching. I am Michael Nas.